camo is my favorite color. Hey everyone, this is Adam with Modern Survival and Self-Reliance. Today I got a little project going on here. I got a buddy of mine that had a rifle that he'd like to have painted. I've done these several times before, and so today I was just going to shoot a video on how to paint a rifle or a weapon with just some camouflage spray paint. I'm just using some Rust-Oleum. I've got deep forest green, some khaki, and then some army green. And for a pattern, I'm going to use some netting. This is actually from a heavy-duty laundry bag. It makes a pretty nice pattern. So to start with, I'm just going to strip the firearm down, tape off some of the pieces. I'll tape off the forward assist on the bolt, the door, a couple parts on the stock. This guy will get gummed up if it's not taped off. You'll paint it and then it'll get stuck. I'm going to take the sights off, the optic off, front sight off, the sling off. We are working with a clear weapon, and it is unsafe. So if you stick with me here, I'm gonna the first thing I'm gonna do is strip all the pieces off of it, and then I'm gonna wipe everything down with rubbing alcohol, get any oil off of it, and then I'll lay my pattern out and start spraying. We're kind of in a desert area, so I want to go lighter colors. If you're probably in more of like a woodland area, I would paint it to be a little darker, but with all the sage and different types of brush that we have out here, we've got a lot of lighter colors. So start with a dark color and then move to the lighter color. So the gun's already black. The next coat I'll go to is going to be the forest green. Color after that will be the army green, and then I'll finish up with the khaki. I'm just going to do it in layers. So stand with me, and I'm going to adjust the camera here, and we'll start stripping this thing down, get it all cleaned up, and then start to paint. So one of the things I'm finding taking this apart is a lot of things were already loose. You'll see in the video probably at some point. I undid this screw just by hand on the optic here. Let's see, the next thing I'm going to do is remove the grip off here. And when you do that, you got to be careful because there's going to be a spring in this handle that pushes up here on the safety. And I don't like painting the grips usually because they get tacky feeling. And I talked to the fellow about that, and he kind of agreed. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this off and remove these stocks on the rear. You just adjust them. You pull this way, push this button that way. If you want to remove it, pull out to there and lift this way, kind of against the normal adjustment, and that slides right off. All right. One of the other things I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the bolt carrier group out. I'm just going to make sure no paint is getting on it. Remove the charging handle. I'm going to leave that black. I'm just going to close this down. I'm going to close this door back up. Keep paint out of there. And I'm going to tape a few of the things off. The mag release button I'll tape off, and then the slide release button over here. I'll tape all those off. I'm going to hit it with some air, blow the dust off of it real quick. Alright, I'm going to remove this grip here, and then I'm going to start taping everything off. Pull this handle off. When you take this handle off, you'll want to be careful. I'm in here with dirt floors, and you don't want to, I definitely don't want to drop anything into the dirt. So if you have a little magnetic dish or something, that might be handy. As soon as I get this screw loosened up here, I'll show you kind of what parts you're going to be looking for. If you look in here, you'll see this spring. This just pops out, and that rests right on your pin for your safety. And then here's your screw for the handle, and you got a little locking type washer on there. So set all that aside if you're going to decide not to paint your grip. The other thing now is with that spring out and that pin, the safety right here will just pull out, and I'm just going to go ahead and pull that out and leave that black. I'm not going to take that off. Alright, the rest, now I'm just going to tape the trigger off, the buttons that I talked about, the door, the forward assist on the bolt, and wipe everything down with alcohol. One thing I forgot to mention is I like to tape the mag well off here so that that doesn't get sticky with paint, and it can maybe sometimes slow down your reloading. I don't know. I haven't ever really had them get real gunky, but I just like covering it up and keeping any paint from going inside the mag well there. It could get up inside the inside of the gun. So I'm just going to tape these threads off right here. And then one thing I forgot to mention is this pin that's right in here. That's for your safety. I don't know how well you can see it. It's right there at the tip of my finger. That pin will come out, so gotta be mindful of this. This one doesn't feel like it's going to come out right now. I may go ahead and just help it, so when I'm moving around later, it doesn't drop out and surprise me. Normally, if you don't want them to fall out, they will, and there we go. Say when you're moving around, that little guy could fall out, and then that'll ruin my day if that drops on the floor. Alright, so I'm going to start with a darker color. I might just hit the whole thing real quick with green. If you, for some reason, don't like the way it's turning out, you can always take it off with like goof off. I've done that before. When you goofed up, take it off with goof off. I'm gonna hit the whole thing real quick with just a light, or with a dark green, a forest green, and then I'll go to the net with the lighter colors. If I was wanting to make it more of a darker color, and yeah, I am spraying right over the pattern that's on there, but it's okay. Nice thing with doing camo is you can't really mess it up. You might not be super happy with the way it looks, but if there's little black spots left here when I'm done, that's gonna be okay. It'll all just add to the camo. I'll give that a couple minutes. And I'll let that dry, and then we'll flip it over and do the other side. So this is just about dry. There's still a couple of shiny spots on it here. I'll give it a couple more minutes. Off camera, I painted the rear stock on it. I didn't paint it, I taped it off, sorry. And wiped everything down with alcohol. One of the things that does help when you're doing this is if you're wearing gloves. I'm not wearing them today, but the oils in your skin can kind of make the paint not stick if you have really oily skin. But I've wiped it down with alcohol, and this will get painted with it. Another way you can do this too, that's probably a better way to do this, is to hang it up from a wire or from a string. Hang it up and spray it that way. The problem I've ran into in the past is the net doesn't stick real well or hold real well when I've got it hanging vertically. So most of them I've done this way. I've let them dry and I lay them on one side, the dry side. Paint half of it. It's camo, it doesn't all have to line up or match. And then I flip it over. So this side's good. In the beginning, I was gonna leave it more black, but wanted to go with a desert color. It's better to paint the whole thing green, get rid of the black, I think, and then start with your lighter colors. So this is the army green now. Look at that. I shook it up some off camera. Just gonna get the net in here where we want it. You kind of want to lay it down on there. If you don't, it'll, as you spray past, it won't pick up the pattern. So, all right, here we go. I'm gonna test the paint. Again, I'm just gonna do diagonal stripes. If you want them a little brighter, go closer and heavier. Let's get right down here on the barrel. I'm doing this color, and then the last color I'll be doing is this khaki color. And that'll make it blend more in with the sage and stuff. When guys are out coyote hunting and that kind of things, or just out shooting, and you don't want the gun to be really standing out, it helps if it's not all completely black and has a little color in it. This stuff will wear off some as you shoot it and stuff. You can repaint it if you want. I have in the past just stripped them all the way back down if I didn't like it. Yeah, so it's kind of just fun. All right, I'm going to peel this off, and you'll be able to see some of the pattern. I'm going to try not to touch it, but you can kind of see this pattern we got going here. It doesn't have to be everywhere, because in one spray you can. Next color I'm going to do is this khaki. So while I'm on this side, I'm going to go ahead and do the khaki as well. And you can move your pattern, you can offset your pattern a little bit so that the holes don't all necessarily have to match up. Some people's OCD will take over, and you want everything to line right up and stay perfect. But I don't think it really matters when you're doing camo. The more broken up it is, the better. So with the khaki right now, I'm just going to spray in between the light colored greens that I did, and we'll see how it goes. And you can even hit spots where you did hit the green, and it'll kind of just blend. I'll give that just a second. Try the rest of the way, and then I'm going to swap to the other side. Now you can kind of see how this is going. My lighting's not the best, but you got dark green, light green. I don't know how well it's showing up on camera, but I think the light behind me doesn't help. All right, I'm going to start untaping this thing here in a minute and get it all put back together. One thing to mention is if you take your optics off and stuff, they're probably not going to be accurate anymore, so or sighted in exactly right, so you'll want to you know, you're going to have to resight your gun in, but sounds like a good excuse to shoot, right? All right, I'm going to just start unpeeling some of this. Okay, there's the door. Undo the mag well here. I just stuffed a cotton pad up in there, tape, so no paint could go up in there and get inside the gun. This rear part of the stock here, I could have just ran a couple strips of tape and probably used less tape, but kind of running out of weekend here, so I just wanted to get it taped up, and spiral was about the quickest way to do it. All right. So kept that all nice and clean there. Let's take the tape off the bolt assist, forward assist, whatever you want to call it. Pull that off. See, that's still nice. I didn't end up taping off the mag release button, but it still feels like it's good and springy. Set this upside down now, and I'm going to put the grip back on it. Pretty much anything that's going to be a nice moving part or a smooth moving part, you want to tape that off. Some guys paint their triggers. I don't like the trigger. I like the way the trigger feels without sticky paint on it. Sometimes helps if you hold your tongue to the right when you're doing this little fine motor skill stuff here. All right, now I'm gonna put the little pin back in for the safety selector switch. Go ahead and drop that down in there. His safety is going to need to come through on the, this was a right-handed safety. So we'll put that in like that. Okay, I'm going to put it back on safe to finish this. All right, now the grip. And remember the long screw that was in there? This spring. Move this in a little closer here. the spring's got to go right down in this hole here where that pin is for your safety. You'll feel a little pressure on it, and then my Allen wrench is not magnetic, so it's going to be a little, try to finesse it down in here real quick. Alright guys, so just got done putting all that back together and tightening everything down. There was a few things that was loose on it when I got it, but I'll show you the kind of finished product here. It's got a pretty good pattern. It's still just a little bit tacky, but I'll let it sit overnight. The grip's not tacky. Left all the sights and stuff black. It'll disappear if you lay it up against sagebrush, pretty much still. Yeah, so anyway, the paint that I used on there is just this Rust-Oleum. You can get the Dark Earth, I think is the brown color. I didn't have any of that today. We're trying to make it a lighter color so it blends in with the sage and the fox brush and stuff like that. So I used base coat of the forest green, then I went to the army green, and then the khaki. And if you go from dark to the light colors, then in the end you kind of have a lighter color deal. I've painted them when I lived back east. I've painted them so that they end up a darker color. They blend in more with tree foliage and stuff. You can use all sorts of things for patterns too. I've used pine needles. You can lay leaves on there, paint over them, and it'll leave whatever color that is underneath the leaf will be the color that's left. Grasses work good. You just bundle up the grasses, lay them over there, hit it the same way I hit it with the paint on this, and usually have pretty good results. This is just a good, fun kind of thing to do if you want your rifle around the homestead or whatever, the ranch, to kind of blend in if you want to, or you just for some reason don't want it to be all black. And it's kind of fun. It just kind of personalizes it, and just a fun little cheap project. I think these cans are about, they were, who knows what it is post-COVID, but pre-COVID prices when you could get it, they were like $3.50, $3.64 something a can. And I've painted a couple different firearms with these 3 cans, and I still have a lot in there. You can do tons of coats if you want. The stuff will chip after a while if you're using it all the time or running through the brush and stuff with it. It will chip a little bit, but it still just adds to the camo. So that's the fun thing about painting camo. Camo is my favorite color. Anyway, so thanks for hanging out with me, guys, today. If you like what you saw here, please like and subscribe and share this with friends. And until the next video, you'll stay safe out there and have a good time. Anyway, for now, Adam with Modern Survival and Self-Reliance is out.